1 mile in fog patches and showers early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles on Friday morning.
Stars shining bright above me. Night breezes seem to whisper Sycamore Tree. Dream a little dreamer.
What is up, my loves? Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today I am super excited because I have a new fresh tutorial for you guys. I'm going to be showing you all how I draw with charcoal. Now it will be sped up and I'll just be giving some tips because I found that that was the best way for me to explain it. Like, I think the best way for me to show you all how I use charcoal is just to show you guys visually, to give you guys some tips along the way. And yeah, you guys, I'm just really happy about this video, really happy about how this drawing came out. And yeah, I just love charcoal. It's one of my favorite mediums. If you've been following me on my Instagram, you know that I love drawing with charcoal, and I used to do it a lot more, but now I'm getting back into it, and I'm super excited to show you all my process on how I use charcoal today. So let's go ahead and get started with this awesome video, you guys. I really hope that you all enjoy it, and yeah, stay tuned for watching the video. Hey, my love, so the first thing that I want to show you all are the tools that I'm using. And first thing I'm using is these Derwent graphic pencils. And yeah, it was so funny. I thought they were missing a pencil, but I just had to shake it and it was there. And it ranges from 6B to 4H. So that's from the softest pencil to the hardest pencil. And I'm going to explain a little bit later which one I use and why I use it. So stay tuned for that. Next one I'm using are these peel and sketch charcoal pencils, which is really optional. You really don't need those. I just use them and I always use them a lot. And then I have these two regular charcoal pencils, which you really just need one of those. And then I have a brush for blending. And then I have this gel white jelly roll pen for highlights, and then I have these white charcoal pencils, which are super important because that's what's really going to make your picture pop and just look real dope and awesome. And then I have like one little white charcoal stick just for the bigger areas, and then a bigger eraser to erase bigger areas later on. And then I also have a smaller eraser for smaller areas. I recommend you also have like an even tinier eraser for smaller details. I don't know where mine is, but yeah, I recommend that. And then I have bigger charcoal sticks for the bigger areas and tortillon stumps, which are super important, or blending stumps. And you can also use a Q-tip, which I will be using in this drawing process. And then the tone gray paper, super important. You really don't have to use tone gray paper, it's optional, but I just love it for the medium tones, and it really makes the charcoal pop. And so this is like one of the drawings that I've done before. I recommend you get a wax paper for when you are done with your piece so that when you close it, it doesn't smudge. So that's just a little tip. So what I'm about to show you all are why I use an HB pencil to draw with, or just like the B pencils in general, because they are softer. So for example, this is a 4H pencil that I'm using, and those are typically the harder pencils. So when you use a 4H pencil and you draw over it with the charcoal, it's kind of like the lead is like coming through it, so it's not as smooth. But it's different when you use a B pencil with the charcoal, because then you can actually color over it. It's smooth and it just looks really nice. So I definitely recommend you use an HB pencil or just any B pencil. But I'm going to use the HB pencil since it's not too dark, not too light, and it's just right and perfect for the drawing. So right now I'm going on my Pinterest board, which you guys can find in the links below, and I'm going to my charcoal drawing reference board, and I'm going to pick a drawing from here. And yeah, I just have all these cool references on here. I just recommend that you guys get like a high contrasted picture. It'll really help you, make the best charcoal drawing possible. It doesn't have to be black and white, but when it's black and white, it's gonna make it so much easier for you to do your charcoal drawings. You just wanna make sure you have something with very good contrast so you can have a very interesting picture when you do your charcoal drawing. So this is the picture that I chose of the legendary Audrey Hepburn, and I just thought it would be a perfect drawing for this tutorial. So the first thing I'm doing is starting out with my sketch, and I'm just going out really lightly with it, and that's really important. I think you should start off with your sketch really light, and just basically just be very light with your strokes and your hand movements. Like, don't try to be too stiff with it, just let it flow. And yeah, just be real careful with it. And before this drawing, I actually did warm-up drawings, and I just basically drew like a couple of times and, you know, drew a whole page of like circles and squares and different shapes so I could warm myself up, which I'll probably do a different video on that, just showing you guys my process of what I do before I draw so my drawings can come out its best. And it's funny because I don't usually warm up the way that I did for this video. I warmed up for about maybe 40 minutes or more, and I'm telling you, it made my drawing come out so much better than it normally would. And yeah, I definitely recommend you warm up before you do any type of drawing, because it'll definitely help you just to really, you know, have that muscle memory of like, you know, where things go, and just help you to flow better when you put your drawing down on your paper. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here, just doing my sketch, making sure that I'm keeping it real light and everything. So yeah, you guys go ahead and continue watching the sketch process, and then I'll come back when I start with the charcoal. Okay, so now finally the charcoal. So I am starting out with my General's charcoal pencil, and what I like to do first is just to outline my dark areas. So, well, the dark areas in the drawing. So the first areas that I'm going for are the eyes. I always go for the eyes first, and I'm just basically outlining it and just, you know, focusing on where the darkest areas are. You guys, I'm trying my best to explain. Like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to explain drawing with charcoal. It's like, it's, you know, better me just showing you. But yeah, I'm just outlining all of these areas first, and that's basically what I'm doing. And then after that, I'm gonna, you know, color those areas in. And yeah, I'm just taking my time with it. And when you're outlining, make sure you're paying attention to the thickness and the thinness of the lines. Just don't make it all the same line thickness, because I find that when you use thick and thin lines when you're outlining, it just turns out so much more interesting. Okay, so now I'm using the pill and sketch, which you really don't have to. I just wanted to kind of get more of a, you know, get more of the bigger area with it. But you really don't have to do that. You could just use the pencil. And now I'm coloring everything in, and then I'm blending. So I like to color in the eye part and the eyebrows part, and then I just blend that all in. And then I just start blending around the nose area, just real lightly. You want to do it real lightly, and just basically pay attention to the shadows of the picture very carefully. And just pay attention to where the lightness and darkness goes. And also you can use a value chart just to look at like the values, so you can kind of match them up to the reference picture values as well. So I'll show you guys a little value chart so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, right here I am also taking a Q-tip to blend as well. You can also use Q-tips. And then I'm using the brush for the bigger areas, and using the charcoal stick, the bigger stick, which is actually softer because it's like a pastel stick. And it's like really good for the bigger areas, I think. And yeah, I recommend that you use the, oh, tongue twister. I recommend that you use the charcoal pencil for the little details, and then you can use the charcoal stick, the bigger one, for the bigger areas, and just blend and add the details as you go. Just blending and adding details, blending and adding details. That's basically my process of how I do the charcoal and everything. And then for the hair, I go in with the big charcoal stick, and I just basically map out the flow of the hair. Whichever way the hair is flowing, I just sketch it out in that way. Then I use my fingers to blend. Yeah, you can also use your fingers to blend as well. I use that a lot, and yeah, your fingers and your hands are gonna get super dirty in this process. And then I'm using my General's white charcoal pencil for the highlighted areas, which is the funnest part. Like, I love this part, you guys. And I'm just paying attention to the areas that pop out the most in the reference picture, and I'm just basically coloring those areas in. But make sure that you pay attention to the values. You're not going to put the white charcoal in every area that you see it's lighter. You just want to make sure that you're putting it in the areas where it's popping out the most. So you're not going to put the white charcoal in the areas where it is lighter than the highest light values, you know. So you just really got to pay attention to the value chart, so you can just have a good range of where to put the white charcoal. So yeah. And yeah, basically I'm just adding more, blending more, and just going along with it as I see in the picture, not paying too much attention to the details right now, just adding in the big chunks of the dark areas that I see. And then also for the hair, I go in and I erase some of the areas for some of the highlight, because it's not going to be white highlights all around, just in like where the light is hitting it the most. So yeah, definitely pay attention to where the light is hitting the most when you're adding the white highlights, because the white highlights aren't going to go everywhere. So that's why you can also just use the eraser for some of the highlights that are a little bit darker than the whitest white highlights. I hope I'm like explaining that well. But yeah, I just basically I'm blending, adding more highlights as I go. And yeah, I'm just, you know, paying attention to the picture and just blending a lot. I think it's a lot about the blending and paying attention to the values that matters the most. So yeah, you guys, that's basically what I do for my process of charcoal drawing. It's just basically a bunch of blending, going back and adding more, and just paying attention to the light and dark values. So yeah, I hope that, you know, just watching this can kind of give you an idea of how I go about my charcoal drawing. And yeah, you guys, I really had so much fun doing this video. I really hope that you all enjoyed watching my process. I hope that I was able to give you some tips too along the way. And I think the most important tip is just to pay attention to your values and look at the value scale. And yeah, just basically have fun with it. Do what looks good to you, since this is a stylized version of Audrey Hepburn. I'm just having fun with it and just, you know, doing what really looks good to my eye. So yeah, you guys, I really hope that you all enjoy this process, and yeah, continue watching to the end.
When you speak, angel, sing from above.